Thank you, and it's fantastic to be here. When I received the original invitation from the mayor, who we've known for many years and had a wonderful partnership with, I knew I just had to be here in Rio. It's not just the World Cup, which of course was a nice fringe benefit to being in the city at this time, and not just the opportunity to talk about technology, but I really wanted to share a vision that we have around how we think Brazil can be even more magical than it is today if you're willing to reimagine. There's a video that I wanted to start with, which I think captures so much of what I wanted to talk about today. So let me start by sharing that with you.
We want to create technology to dramatically improve the world.
The stormy scream against the stream, her eyes watering. Jump into lakes, the surface breaks, we swim underwater.
To preserve and promote culture online.
To study and be inspired by science.
I'm currently combining medical research and computer science to improve breast cancer diagnostics.
That next generation of smart, powerful women, they're already knocking on the door.
Hey, station, this is Google Plus. How do you hear me?
Soichi, hear you loud and clear. How me?
We try to push these challenging technologies to transform the world and change people's lives.
Now we're in uncharted waters, and what I'm talking about has never really been done before. But that's why we should do it.
So this healthy disregard for the impossible, which is really at the root of who we are as a company at Google, as both Larry and Sergey shared on that video, it's all really about reimagining. And today's talk, as I shared earlier, is about reimagining the future of Latin America and Brazil with the impact of technology. Brazil's at a critical point, as so many of the early speakers shared. An amazing economic opportunity, so much vitality, culturally, economically, with a growth path ahead for us as we look at it as a company, second to none. Brazil is a very, very important market to Google, and we've been committed to Brazil for many years. In fact, we opened our first engineering office in 2005 in Belo Horizonte when the company was only 7 years old. So it's been a huge, important part of shaping not just our business, but our engineering. And the team in Belo Horizonte has a big impact on our search, our core business, and how we make it magical across the world. Brazil is one of the top 5 or 6 markets for every major Google product that we've created. And we have over 600 people in Brazil between Belo Horizonte and São Paulo. And I really believe that technology can provide the opportunity to accelerate progress in Brazil and reimagine both for its businesses and its citizens how to shape an even bolder and more magical future. So what really underpins what could unleash this momentum with technology? Well, it's right in the palm of my hand. Is there anyone here that didn't walk in with a smartphone to this audience? Because we all just had to take a test as well. I've been traveling a lot since the World Cup started, and I haven't missed anything, because no matter where I was in the US or Europe, or even on my way here last weekend, I could stay in touch with all the games. In fact, Of course, my husband, being Greek, and I were carefully following all the games, and clearly that was a heartbreaker in Costa Rica, and it was very nice that I could rewatch all the kicks at the end several times because I couldn't believe that they actually lost. And then after Neymar was injured, I was anxious to see what was going to happen in the Brazil lineup for the semifinal, and our kids were really excited to see the Hulk on the list, their favorite player on the Brazil team. But really, we can see the world unfold minute by minute on Google. In fact, we've had 2 billion searches on the World Cup since the game started. Tim Howard, and I'm American as much as I root for the Greeks, I really enjoyed the fact that the Americans celebrated him being the goalie that stopped the most goals ever in a World Cup match, and he received 144 times increase in searches about him just in the US alone. When Neymar was injured, in the 30 minutes following the injury, search for Neymar rose 10 times just in those few minutes. So the real-time connectivity across the globe, that just wasn't possible when we had the World Cup in 2010. But it is possible today. Technology is letting us experience the World Cup and beginning to change our everyday lives and businesses. And the next few years are going to lead to some really transformational change because we're just in the tipping point in Brazil and beyond. By the time Brazil hosts the Olympics in 2016, the vast majority of Brazilians will be online. 62%, 122 million people. Incredible. Brazil will be the 4th largest online market in the world after China, the US, and India. The Brazilians will have access to the world's information. Virtually everything is online. Newspapers, magazines, books, music, movies, shopping, education, banking, almost anything. 2,800 exabytes of data digitally are created every year and double every 3 years. Let's put that in perspective. In 2006, the combined storage capacity of all the hard disks in the entire world was 160 exabytes. Today, we create that much digital data every 20 days. It's unbelievable what will be possible online. And we already see that impact on Brazilians and how they live their lives. People with access to the internet are spending 8.5 hours on average online. That's higher than the global average of 7.9 hours. And what are they doing? The majority today is spent on social networks and media. But they're really beginning to shop, buy things. 50% of all banking transactions in Brazil are now online. And in 2016, the majority of Brazilians will have this supercomputer in their pocket. That power with them everywhere they go, no matter what they're doing. The acceleration there will be incredible. From 25 to 35% of the population, depending on what numbers you look at today, to well over 50, 100 million people will walk around with a smartphone. So why is that so magical? It's because technology is an amazing enabler. It allows us to reimagine everything we do as consumers and business leaders and make Brazil even more magical than it is today. And why is that? Because fundamentally, digital technologies are about democratization, access to information, giving everyone a voice, and unleashing creativity. And for businesses, they provide an endless array of new products and services that can only be created when everyone and everything is connected. Dead ends will be obsolete. Not just phones, but all kinds of devices, from apparels to cars to contact lenses, everything will be connected. We call it the Internet of Things. And the opportunity to scale quickly is unprecedented with the web. The barriers to distribution are dramatically lowered. You can reach audience, whether they're mass or niche, across the globe or in your own backyard, as never before. So how do you create magic when you think about that video I started with, it's a word that we use a lot at Google. Our goal is to delight our users with unexpectedly fast, easy, and helpful experiences. As Larry shared in the video, we have to have a healthy disregard for the impossible. We have to be willing to challenge the boundaries of the way things work today. We truly believe that we're only 1% of the way to how technology can change our lives. So what are some of the possibilities that could really help Brazil? The first thing is technology allows us to make lives, everyday lives, simpler and easier. Because the next phase of the web is moving from demand to suggest and assist. Technology that's just with you seamlessly wherever you go. So I'll take a topic that I know is near and dear to the heart of everyone in this room and nearly caused me to miss being here this morning, traffic. Anyone in Brazil knows that traffic is a challenge, and it's not going to stop. The number of cars per citizen has doubled in the last 10 years and shows no sign of stopping with a growing middle class. Even Pele was stuck in traffic trying to get to the thrilling Mexican game. So we're faced with this challenge. Incredible traffic, but technology can really make a difference. I'm on my way, which is exactly what happened this morning. We opened our Waze app because initially the driver said it would take us an hour and a half to get here from the airport after our flight was diverted. But with the help of Waze, we got here in less than 40 minutes. Because it not only suggested the best route to take, as the traffic patterns were shifting, it automatically gave us a new routing suggestion. How great is that? Traffic reporting reimagined with a community approach of people real time sharing information with each other and helping people get their daily lives done more quickly. And Brazil is the second largest market in the world for Waze. But if I didn't feel like driving, in the middle, I could just pull up my Easy Taxi app and get a cab. Easy Taxi started in Rio in 2012. It's now available in 120 cities in 27 countries throughout South America and Southern Asia, and is now expanding to Africa. Huge opportunity with 5 million users and a pretty easy way to connect to a taxi driver. But if I still get stuck in traffic, if you can see from the right, there's no way I'll miss staying up with my favorite games and highlights. Because now, which is the future of search, once it understands what your passions are, where you live, and where you work, you let it understand what's important to you, and it automagically suggests the way to get where you want to go, the information that you care about, how to leave on time for your meeting. It's just there with you. It just makes life easier. And perhaps, even better, the car will just come to pick you up and take you there exactly when you need to go, just at the right time, and it will know all of that without you having to do a thing. So another thing technology enables us to do is deepen connections and conversations. There's a whole host of digital platforms. I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with Facebook and YouTube and Google+ and Twitter and WhatsApp and Instagram, which, by the way, one of the founders is a Brazilian. In our digital life, things have changed fundamentally. We've come to expect a highly interactive interpersonal experience, to be in touch all the time, to give and take, to always understand where people are, what they're doing, and that we actually have a voice, and two-way conversations are expected as a way of doing things. And Brazil is arguably the leader of the social internet. In fact, the Wall Street Journal last year named Brazil the social media capital of the universe. Well, we know this leadership well at Google. 10 years ago, in 2004, Google had one of the first social networks, Orkut. And it started in Brazil, and it took off like a rocket. 11 out of the 14 million people that were online were on Orkut, 80%, compared to the US at the same time that had many more people online, but only 14% were engaged in a social network. And Brazil's leadership on the social internet remains today. Brazilians spend 12.5 hours per week on social networks, more than twice the global average. 88% of all internet users in Brazil are focused on social engagement. Brazil's also the second largest market in the entire world for every single one of the social product offerings I mentioned before: Facebook, YouTube, G+, Twitter, Tumblr. So given Brazil's incredibly vibrant culture, what if the whole world could immerse themselves in the rich social and cultural heritage? One of the things I really love about the World Cup is Brazil's painted streets. So as part of the build-up to the World Cup, we wanted to show the world Brazil's 40-year tradition of painting its streets to show their passion for the game. Streets all across Brazil, and we let millions of fans from every single country participating in the World Cup have the opportunity to virtually walk down the streets of Brazil through this Street View technology, connecting everyone in the world to the incredible heritage of Brazil. Take a look.
A pintura de rua a gente pinta praticamente desde os anos 70. Aí todo ano a gente enfeita.
A gente gosta de festa. Isso é um motivo pra gente estar junto.
Vai chegando mais próximo, a pessoa quer ajudar.
O mínimo de tempo que a gente tem, desce aqui pra rua, pinta, corta rabiola, reúne uma galera.
Nosso objetivo mesmo aqui é a alegria, é a diversão.
É alegar as pessoas. O brasileiro gosta de festa, cara.
Somos brasileiros, nós temos amor, temos paixão. Isso aí é uma tradição.
Demanda trabalho, demanda esforço, mas no final é gratificante ver a nossa rua ornamentada aí pra gente fazer as nossas festas. Agora, divulgar a nossa rua pro mundo é um sonho pra gente.
So the web's about sharing social passions and helping people get connected. Let the whole world discover these magical ideas in simple and easy ways that were just not possible before. And given the enormous creativity in Brazil, what if we could reimagine how to unleash even more content from both the creators that you know and the thousands that you haven't yet discovered? And it's starting to happen. Over 1,000 Brazilian YouTube creators are starting to earn a living through their creativity online, and a few are hugely successful. My guess is you're familiar with these two if you're from Brazil. On the left, Galinha Pintadinha. I worked really hard on how to say that. I was tempted just to say spotted chicken, but I didn't. They were the first YouTube native Brazilian creator to reach 1 billion video views, entertaining millions of children across the country. What you may not completely know is it was fully born on YouTube, and they now have a thriving business that's far, far beyond YouTube, of programs, toys, books, everything you can think of, and it's gone global. It's called Lottie Dottie Chicken in the US. That's a lot easier for me to say. On the right, Porta dos Fundos. How was that? Era voz? Not too bad. I tried. It's the second channel to reach 1 billion views in just the last few weeks, and it was launched in August of 2012. It's so popular. Anybody here have the app? The great followers of this have an app where it notifies you automatically twice a week every time the new releases come down, and it's unbelievably popular. 8.5 million people are subscribers. The Brazil advertising industry is having a similar success with online hits. And it's not surprising, and I'm sure Sir Martin will talk about this in a few minutes. Brazil's advertising industry has always been a global standout of creativity. At the most coveted global creative awards in Cannes, France, every year, Brazil consistently wins over 100 awards, more than any other country except the US. And this year, 17 Brazilian agencies won awards. They even won the Grand Prix for mobile advertising. So what if we could use technology to allow Brazil's creative genius to shape deeper conversations with Brazilian and even global consumers? And there's a lot of Brazilian brands, as I shared, that are harnessing this opportunity. I think one of the biggest stories of the last year was Unilever's Dove Real Beauty campaign. How many people may have seen this already? It's an amazingly magical campaign that was created by a Brazilian, Fernando Machado. Let me play it for you.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board.
We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm going to ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm going to ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin, it was a nice, thin chin.
This is the sketch that you helped me create, and that's a sketch that somebody described of you.
So yeah, that's...
Not surprisingly, this campaign ignited a global conversation because it was founded on a universal insight that translates: only 4% of women really think they're beautiful. And over 160 million people across the globe have watched this video. And there have been 3 sequels to it that have been equally as successful, highlighting the honest conversations that need to be had. But the web doesn't just allow brands to talk about the tough issues in our lives. It also gives them an opportunity to be part of the conversation in real time. I couldn't help but share another World Cup example. Nike is doing a phenomenal job of celebrating the moments of the players that it sponsors. 1 minute after an exciting World Cup moment, Nike is now sharing across the entire web in every single market where its brand wants to make a statement. It's sharing that moment with its fans. And not only is it in real time, in the moment it's happening, in the landscape, you can actually interact with the ad and share it with a friend. It's a whole new way of building an immersive experience. So digital transforms the ability to connect and create conversations because it's a canvas for engaging people in new ways. But what works on the web is different. It's about talking about the tough issues, much more raw and authentic. It's about being in the moment, what people are talking about now, or just having fun. But technology isn't just for communications. It allows us to reach out of our comfort zones as business leaders and to rethink everything we do end to end and really create magical experiences that you may have thought impossible. So what if we could reimagine how to better address tough social issues by empowering everyday citizens to show us exactly what they need? Let me give you some really great examples of how Brazil is already doing this. Igarapé Institute is taking on a big problem, reducing the incidence of homicide among Brazil's children and teens. This picture shows the magic of using mobile to collect data from exactly those children to find a way to solve the problem in a more meaningful way. So how does it work? There's a Child Security Index app. It's mobile, which is where the kids are, and it lets the kids and teens answer questions about their experience, map it by area, age, incident type. A much more powerful, localized, real-time information base, and it's interactive. And Igarape analyzes the data to assess how to pinpoint and be much more effective in violence reduction programs. This was first tested in Rio, São Paulo, and Recife, and will expand to 50 cities in Brazil and globally in 2015. Pretty magical. What if we could reimagine how to deliver high-quality education to everyone at scale? Again, this is a tough problem in Brazil. Brazil has a huge K-12 population, over 50 million students, and many of them do not have sufficient access to high-quality education options. In fact, high school completion rates are extremely low. Only 36% complete high school versus 85%, for example, in the US. But magic is possible. Brazilian leaders, in this case, the Lemon Foundation, with new age web-based education provider, the Khan Academy, is trying to use online video to provide a consistently high-quality option, both for students and for educators across all of Brazil. So how does it work? Together, they've created an amazing offer on YouTube, 8,000 high-quality high school videos for Brazilian teens covering almost the entire core curriculum, including math, biology, chemistry, the Portuguese language, and many more to come. And they're using innovative teaching methods that really work with teens. It's having impact. It's only been live for 7 months, and already 4 million people have registered, and the offering will keep expanding. But ensuring access to these new tools for all Brazilians requires everyone to have access to online, and only half do today. And in the rural areas, it's much less. So we're partnering with the government of Brazil to reimagine how to bring the internet more quickly and easily to every single Brazilian, no matter where they are. We were invited just last month in June by the Brazil Minister of Communications to test Loon in Campo Maior. The town center has internet access, but there is no last-mile connection to the rural outskirts of town. So we connected a school in village of Água Fria that had never been connected before. Kids climb trees to find the best cell signal. Locals call this vagalume, fireflying. And we partnered with Vivo and Telebras to bring connection speeds up to 22 megabytes. So it's not just access to the internet and social services that can be reimagined with technology. I challenge you as business leaders and government leaders to also harness the power of technology. What if we could create completely new business models that are far more scalable and efficient and provide much, much more value to our consumers? Nearly every segment of business is being reimagined, if not by an existing player, by someone new. It started in media. Print, newspapers, magazines, books, music, video, all started moving online, and then quickly communications followed. But it's far beyond that. I think it's safe to say and challenge everyone in this room that you will find your business reimagined in a meaningful way in the next 5 years with the power of technology. Why is that? It's because distribution barriers are falling. When it's so much easier to connect to consumers, mass or niche, people can scale more cost-effectively and easily than ever before. When you can have engagement opportunities in real time, anytime, anywhere with your consumers, you can share data. It transforms experience. as many of you may have seen, the glucose sensing contact lens that we now use and have developed at Google to help people with diabetes monitor their disease. A magically transformational experience. Instead of pricking yourself 3 times a day, to have a contact lens that's sensing your glucose 100 times a second. It's keeping track of that. It's helping you understand when you need insulin. And it's truly a much more magical experience. And the technology to launch and scale, available on a pay-per-use basis, reduces barriers to entry and scale like never before. The most successful businesses so far, a lot of them are called part of the sharing economy. They're creating platforms that are versatile and allow consumers to drive the momentum. And they're in a lot of industries, in payments, communications, fitness, funding, home improvement, transportation, education, just to name a few. And the acceleration of these businesses is downright staggering. Let me take a few examples. In communications, WhatsApp scaled to 400 million users across the globe and became a $16 billion acquisition in 5 years with 50 engineers. 50. In funding, Kickstarter raised over $1 billion in funds for 61,000 projects from over 6 million investors in 5 years. In lodging and hotels, Airbnb scaled to over 600,000 rooms in 190 countries, that's more than Hilton, with a greater market capitalization than Hyatt or Wyndham after only 6 years in business and not one single physical asset. You really have to reimagine. So with Brazil's history of innovation, an incredibly social and creative society, I'm fully expecting that the people in this room will create some of the next accelerators. And the opportunity is amazing if you're willing to reimagine how technology can make lives simpler and easier, create conversations and connections, and shape magical experiences. Every one of you in this room is involved in a company or a government leadership role and have products, services, or policies that you need to make more available and help them grow. I've shared just a few examples of how technology can continue to change and make Brazil even better. So are you willing to think big enough to take advantage of it? And are you really willing to reimagine the boundaries of what's possible? Larry Page, the CEO of Google, always challenges us as business leaders to think really big, think 10x versus 10%. We call it moonshots. Because when you think big, it's hard to completely fail. In fact, you usually create something incredibly valuable. And why is that? Because when you only think about making something 10% better, you tend to think about all the things in the way of getting it done. But when it's 10 times better, you're really willing to take on those tough issues because you know that the improvement is so incredible. So Brazil's already a beacon for the world, a country of an incredible opportunity, people, and creativity. It's just the heritage. And you can create even more magic for this country and the world, just like you've done for the World Cup in 2014, if you embrace the power of technology to reimagine. And I absolutely cannot wait to be here for the 2016 Olympics and see how far we've come. Obrigado.